Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I do hope you are all well. You can see today I'm wearing a jacket because it is quite cool. Linda, did you know, I think it was yesterday, it was colder here in Brisbane than it was in Hobart. It made the news. So it has been pretty crisp up here. We don't get as cold as Tasmania generally, like, you know, on average. But yesterday it was crisp. It warms up during the day, but anyway, I hope you are well. I was with one of my students, Alyssa, this morning. She's in California. She said it's starting to really heat up where she is. So regardless of what the weather is in your in your neck of the woods, I hope you are comfortable, safe, and well, and in good voice. I am in good voice. In fact, I was doing another lesson with a different student other than Alyssa this morning here in studio, and I was thinking, as I'm singing along with the student, I'm thinking, gee, I'm really feeling like I'm back. and then I went and had some lunch. We have a cracker here in Australia called Cruscuts. I had some I had some Vegemite on Cruscuts, and it's left a little bit of a residue. So if you hear me clearing my throat a little bit in a voice-friendly way over the next 50 minutes or so, you'll understand why. It's not the Vegemite, it's the Cruscuts. They're like a dry anyway. I don't know whether Cruscuts are an Australian-only thing. Dean in Hawaii and Nevi. What do? Alyssa is in for the show. And so is Karen. Let me know. Do you have Cruscuts? Cruscuts. I don't know how to describe them. Like as in. Maybe they're called something else elsewhere in the world. I don't know. Elsewhere in the world, in France, do you know it's Bastille Day today? I know this because Linda told me in our Monday email. Otherwise, it would have slipped past me with me not realizing. I had the great privilege. I have a connection to Bastille Day. I had the great privilege of being in Paris for. I'm remembering this correctly. Bastille Day is the French day, right? Is that right? Now that I'm going to say all this, I'm suddenly having self-doubts. I'm going to proceed as if it is. Bastille Day, I was in Paris back in 2009, and actually I was there for the International Congress of Voice Teachers, which I will be in Toronto in I'll be there in 2 weeks today for the International Congress of Voice Teachers. So back in 2009, I was there for my very first ICVT, and while I was there, it was Bastille Day, and they had a massive parade of very French things, and it was great. And we went and saw. It happened to be the 125th anniversary of the Eiffel Tower, and we were in a crowd of, like, apparently the reported number was 1 million people had come out to see and celebrate the 125th birthday of the Eiffel Tower. It was quite an amazing time. I must admit, a time I wouldn't want to be in that amount of people again. It was like at one point, my friend and I, Sharon, who we were there together, we were actually being physically crushed, and it shut the metro down, their subway system. It shut it down because they couldn't. The push of people was such that they couldn't move the trains. It was actually a bit scary. That all happened after the big celebration. It's quite the event. Today, we are going to be doing a a mini topic. What we call it's a bit of a misnomer, isn't it? We call them our mini topics, but they end up, you know, we end up deep diving into some of these subjects. We're going to be looking at songwriting today. Talk more about that in a moment. And next week, I'm going to be doing a recording performance analysis. Eliza Swart has very kindly offered to be our performer for next week, and so we're going to be doing a bit of that. And I'm going to be sort of showing you some pitch analysis and resonance analysis, which I've already started to implement into my reaction videos. But as I've shared with you, they won't go live until December, because that's how far I am in my far ahead I am in my recording schedule. But you will get to sort of experience that with the review that we'll do next week. Following that, we have a 2-week break because I am away in Toronto for the ICVT, during which on Friday, I think it's August the 1st, Toronto time, it's the Friday night, I'm going to be getting together with at least 2 ladies from Canada who are a part of our Voice Essentials community. Kathy, many of us know Kathy Schneider, who is a very active member of our Facebook group, and which you can be an active member as well. And Emily, she is also one of my students, and she's going to be there as well. They're both traveling to Toronto to have dinner with me. This is an open invitation. It's not just for those 2 ladies and myself. It's if you are in that area, you would be more than welcome to join us for a meal. And I think I shared last week, it's going to be one of the highlights of my trip, I think. I'm really looking forward to that. We are going to get into... we do have a Q&A currently underway. And the Q&A is what part of songwriting... not the Q&A, like a poll. If we've got time, we'll do a Q&A at the end of our mini topic. But for today, you get to... The question is in the poll, what part of songwriting do you love most? And so you've got 4 options there. This is one of those questions where I think it's fair to say, you know, I mean, yeah, you probably could say, well, I love them all. Yeah, but I think this is one of those poll questions where we can actually say, no, there's going to be one that really stands out to you, and so make sure you pick one. And I'll give you a why don't you also put down what you think my favorite would be? Because when I look at it, there is definitely one of those is my personal go-to. I much prefer to do one of those 4. I'm going to have some water because the cruscets, they're just there. Okay, let's get into our analysis. Sorry, not analysis. Our songwriting, and let's jump into looking at songwriting basics for vocalists. Linda this morning highlighted that, you know, this is the first time we've ever talked about, that I've ever talked about songwriting here on the channel, certainly as a part of a mini topic. And there's a reason for that, is because I really don't consider myself by any stretch an expert on this particular topic. And so the way I'm going to be approaching this topic today is because I think the topic eventually won me over to talk about it, because I think it is an important area for us, for many of us as singers, as an area of exploration and expression, and so I'm going to be approaching this today more from the point of encouragement and inspiration. I do have some runs on the board when it comes to songwriting. I have written lyrics for a song, lyrics and melody, in fact it was, for a top 30 song here in Australia. It was on my own album, and I have done a lot of songwriting, particularly in my younger years. But again, it's not something I currently do, and so full disclaimer, I'm not claiming. And in fact, there'd be people even not only just watching right now, but a part of the Voice Essentials community at large, who are far more experienced and far more current in their knowledge of songwriting. We have had iHeart Songwriting on, and one of my friends who runs that group has been here on the show, and so you can search that up on the channel. And Trish from Newcastle this morning texted me and said that she would like to recommend a group who she knows. I think they're in the Sydney area, and I have not looked to this group, so I don't know anything more than what Trish is recommending to us. And their group is How to Write Songs. Well, that's pretty applicable. Kepi and Ben, and she highly recommended that group. And so once we've talked about today and we've hopefully given you some encouragement and inspiration, I want to encourage you to go beyond today's discussion and go exploring other avenues about this particular topic, which I think you probably should do on any topic, but this importantly, we do that today. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why your voice deserves its own songs, and it's very much from that angle that I want to come at this today. What is it that we get out of writing our own songs for the benefit of our own voice? And that is because, and we've said that for a long time here on the channel, your voice deserves to be heard. Why? Because you have a unique story. Of the billions of people who have been on this planet, your life experience is unique to anyone else here, or who has been here, or who will be here. And therefore, you have something to give voice to. And so that uniqueness, that very unique life experience gives you the opportunity to express your story with words and in a manner that is very specific to you. You get to choose those words. When we sing someone else's song, we can be singing songs that we feel connected to, in the sense that, yes, I have a shared experience with that songwriter, and therefore I can really apply that song to my own experience. But when you write your own song, you get to choose your own words to say the same thing. You can shape your sound beyond vocal technique. We spend a lot of time, importantly, appropriately, here on the channel talking about vocal technique. We want that to be the undergirding pillars that support and empower your voice, but it's all there to empower the expression of your voice. And so we want that shaping of your voice to ultimately, we don't really want people to see your technique. We want people to hear your story. And we get to do that when we write our own songs. And we get to do that and have stand out with songs that reflect you. And you know, as over the years here on the channel, but also here in the studio, I've had the great privilege of meeting literally thousands of people from all different walks of life, from different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds. So the variety of people's experiences has enriched my life. And when we write our own songs, that we get in one sense we get to highlight and stand out with those songs. And a really good songwriter, and it must be said, good songwriting it takes time. It really, really does take time. It is an art form that needs to be nurtured and practiced diligently. But when you do write your own songs, you get to stand out with songs that reflect you. Think of what I want you to do as we're going along. I want you to think of one moment in your life that only you could sing about. That is, and I think for this little exercise, don't try to think of a moment that, for example, you're highly embarrassed about, or something that you that should remain something that only you know about. I'm talking more about an experience that maybe others know about, but that you experienced uniquely in the moment. That could be your next lyric idea. The way you craft those lyrics, well, that's where songwriting as a craft comes to play. Your voice is the songwriter's secret weapon. Now we are turning our attention to the actual singing voice, as opposed to the voice of your psyche so much. So the way you can develop and get into some songwriting, maybe you've never tried this before, as in tried the songwriting thing before. Well, one of the ways you can start is just by humming, finding a melody that you can find pleasant to repeat for yourself. I don't know, something like that. And then you can then look to shape lyrics around that. I was there. I'm just making this up as we go. And it when you orientate around that initial hum, you're orientating to your own sound, and also the tone to which you gravitate to. You're not looking to create anything outside of the context at this stage, outside of the context that absolutely comes natural to you. And then you can shape, using perhaps the suggestion we added before about your own personal unique life experience, then shaping some lyrics to that. When we then have a lyric that we're able to combine to the hum, then you can let your phrasing of the way you want to hum and way the lyric might sit with that hum to guide the rhythm of that. Again, there are so many ways to access and do this. I'm just giving you an inspirational, sort of motivational way to start. Groups like I Heart Songwriting have got whole courses on this. So let's just continue to approach this as more of a discussion than instruction. Then you could use riffs and runs as hooks. So, you know, often we hear really good riffs and runs. Ones like by Tori Kelly is always the one that comes to mind for me lately, with riffs and runs. And you can, you know, often she's doing her hooks. They sound like riffs and runs. but it can be the hook of the song. And something to be always mindful of for you, and this is why the hum can be a great place, is often when we hum, we'll often go to the center part of our voice. Not always, but more often than not, if you're just asked to hum off the cuff, you'll go to the center part of your voice. And that is going to sit your voice in a singable area. When I wrote this, write in a singable key. The important thing is that's a bit of a misnomer, because you actually want to write in a singable tessitura, a singable mean average of your voice. It is not true to say that you have a key that you should sing in. So you're not born with an F major voice or a D flat voice. You are born, as we've talked about many times, nature gives us a certain DNA, biological structure, and we then develop that. We nurture that nature with technical development, and so we're able to use more of what we have naturally. And so that should empower us to sing in quite a few different keys. But that being said, your tessitura, the mean average of your notes, and where your prima voce is going to sit, is going to give you an area in which, when we're starting to songwrite, would be of great benefit to sort of sit the voice there. And coming back to prioritizing lyrics that feel natural to say, we can get a little bit too, when writing lyrics, it's all too easy to become a little bit too clever for our own good. We can spend too much time in the what do we call that? I can't even get it out. That dictionary that has multiple different words. A thesaurus. Why was that hard to get out? I don't know. It's been a little while since I've said that word. So you can spend too long looking for fancy rhyming words, and there are even great apps that'll give you songwriting assistance in finding really clever rhyming words. But don't get too clever. Sometimes some of the best lyrics are so simple. And they're so simple that you're left going, man, that is so simple, I wish I'd written it. I think we all know the songs we're talking about. The other area where we can get a little bit too complex for our own good is in the structure of the song. When you're first starting out, my encouragement to you is start simple. So the structure being a verse, chorus, go to the verse again, second chorus, then a bridge, and then back to the chorus. It's your classic pop tune. A B C B. Classic form. And just use that practice on that form. As you get better with it, you can go into a completely different form. You can look at, poetic structures, meters, and get really fancy. But if you're just starting out, keep it simple, singer. I did go to say stupid, but the KISS theory applies to us. And also, remember, don't try to solve world peace in your song. Pick a singular topic and emotion, and this is as you start, and just give us that little grain of sand. Don't try and give us a beach. Just a singular grain of sand will be enough. That's all most audiences want from you. They just want you to tell us about that little grain of sand and how wonderful that little grain of sand is. And then also make sure you've got that really strong hook. You know, I always love having students come in here with their own songs, because I love hearing new hooks. You know, and it's always exciting to me and the student when I'm left humming the hook of their song, you know, as the lesson finishes. That's always very cool. Finally, if you're stuck, you've got a bit of writer's block, here's some ideas of how you can get unstuck the vocalist way. Record voice memos before judging ideas. It's the classic brainstorming rule. No judgment. Every idea is equal. Now, later on, when you go back to reflect and listen back on those ideas, you will hear that not all ideas are equal. There will be ideas that are better than others. But at this point, just lay your ideas down. Record voice memos. We are so fortunate in today's age. We have these things called smartphones. And pretty much all smartphones have a voice record function that if you're waiting for a bus and you have a song idea, you can quickly throw that, just record it. Record your voice. Don't think about it. Don't make a judgment on it. Just place the idea down. You can think about it later. You can make judgments on it and qualify it later. But this point, this sing, don't think point, is about quantity, not quality. I certainly don't want to suggest that, you know, you should always only do this on your own. Co-writing is of great benefit. Remember, I was telling you I wrote lyric and melody for a song called Between Here and There for my album. It went to 12, I think, in the top 30. From memory, it was 12. And I co-wrote that with another gentleman. And we sat one morning at his place in Melbourne, at his piano, just workshopping ideas. And that came through me firstly starting with humming along to chordal structures that he was playing. And out of that we developed melody. And then I took, once we had a structure, a form, an established melody, I then took that away and made and wrote lyric to that. So the lyrics actually came after, not before. And the strength that he had that I didn't bring to the table, as you know, I play guitar, but as a keyboard player, he was able to create chordal structure and harmonic structure that empowered more interesting melody. And so that was cool. This is a bit along the lines of don't sing, don't think, but create a file. Keep a running list of lyric lines, themes, vocal phrases. And again, this is more as a something to give you inspiration. Really, really accomplished songwriters, they're songwriting all the time. It's not something that they do once a month. They are songwriting, you know, all the time, once a day, multiple times a day. And so you for inspiration, you can't, because you're going to have inspiration all the time. So you've got to be able to put that inspiration somewhere. And finally, right now, have a think about what's one phrase or feeling your voice loves to sing. Do you remember we had Dr. Trinice Robinson on the show, and we were talking about, she was talking about singing your story and recognizing that there is almost certainly an area of expression that you are particularly strong with. And for some people, it's about singing happy songs. And that's where they really fire. You can hear it in the voice, you can hear it. And the moment they sing something sad, it's sort of like it's not really their wheelhouse. And she was talking about a friend of hers who always sang sad songs because that was where her personal expression just seemed to come alive. What's one phrase or feeling your voice loves to sing? That can be really important in this area of songwriting for you to identify and recognize and start there. That's all I've got that I wanted to share with you today, because as I said, not an expert, but I wanted to inspire you. It's an area that I'd had sitting in my little Spark file off to the side, and I kept coming back to it and going, well, yeah, but I'm not really, that's other people's bag, and it definitely is other people's thing to really speak expertly to. But I wanted to inspire you, particularly if you are a person who's given to, you know, to songwriting, or maybe you've never songwrited. Maybe you've never written songs before and you're thinking of starting. Well, there's no time like the present. Start writing down your ideas. Don't make judgments on them. Just quantity over quality to start. You can sift through the quantity and unearth the quality a little bit later. I hope that is helpful to us all as we continue our 2025. I want to come to, we've got, let me come into here. Let me know in the, oh, hang on a second, where am I going? Let me know in the comments if you found that helpful. I hope so. I'm going to come down here to a question. We had a question left over from last week, and I was hoping it would be in the thing. I can't see it. It was from Darkus from last week. It's a question. I'll read out the question. I have thyroid problems. How can I make my voice sound better? Thyroid questions thyroid problems for voice can be quite a challenge. Typically, the thyroid is there's three main areas of thyroid issue that can come to bear on particularly that are going to have an impact on singing. Hyperthyroidism, which is an overactive thyroid. Hypothyroidism, which is an underactive thyroid, and thyroid nodules. The big ones that you need to be, the big impacts on the voice, and this is more a hyperthyroid thing, is going to be vocal fatigue, Darkus, because particularly driven by dryness. So your thyroid is a big driver of metabolic state. And so it's producing quite a number of hormones that manage our metabolism, our body temperature, things like that. So vocal fatigue, by virtue of dryness, can be a really big issue for one suffering from hyperthyroidism. Incidentally, Darkus, I have a whole video on this on the channel, but I'll go through some others right now. It can have an impact on pitch accuracy. And that's driven through some fine motor skill disruption. It can have an impact on your range because there can be some vocal fold swelling that can come about by virtue of thyroid issues, and so range can be an issue. The big things that I want you, the three things that I want to mention now, Darkus, that are really important when dealing with the thyroid issue that you have. Firstly, I'm very much hoping that the reason you know you have thyroid issues is because you're already in consultation with your medical professional, your family doctor, and perhaps a specialist. If not, that is your first port of call. But the things that I want you to be mindful of is I want you to remain really well hydrated. Again, that dryness can be a big thing. You've got to be really disciplined with vocal warm-ups and cool-downs. We all should be doing that anyway, but there are some conditions such as the thyroid issues that make it like a absolute. They're really an absolute for everyone, but you hope you get my point. And then just be mindful of your vocal pacing. Listen to your voice. Don't overdo things beyond what the voice is telling you it is capable of. And so I hope that's helpful. I'm just going to go down here to some questions that I'm seeing here. Sorry, some comments. So Karen from Singwise is just saying about the songwriting. What I like about writing my own songs is that they're custom made. I am going to, this is a great comment, so I want to bring it up here. Let's go to Karen's comment here. What I like about writing my own songs is that they're custom made for my own unique voice. They're more flattering for my voice than other people's songs. And that is a real benefit, right? It's a real benefit to have that song that has been bespoke. It's specifically for you. I don't know how many times I've said to singers covering other songs, and mostly my students are covering other songs, don't forget that this jacket was tailored to another person's body. Yeah? So when you sing Beyonce or Whitney Houston or Rob Thomas or pulling names out of a hat, those songs have been crafted to that singer. So when you go and put that jacket on, it could be that song fits you perfectly, hand in glove. Mwah. But more often than not, there's going to be some aspect of it that doesn't quite fit right. Whereas when you write your own songs, you can make sure that every aspect of the song is a perfect fit. Patricia is writing down here. Where am I coming, Patricia? This is I think. This is more about Kepi from How to Write Songs, that HTWS, which I mentioned earlier, because Trish. So I take it Patricia Collins is Trish from Newcastle. Studied under Pat Patterson and teaches for Berkeley. Well, that's cool. Pat Patterson is kind of known worldwide as one of, like, the grandfather of teaching people how to songwrite. He's very well known. He's got a classic statement that I know him for, and that is, and I'll make this a family, how do I say it, because there is a non-family appropriate version. I'll say it in a family appropriate version. You have to write a lot of crap to fertilize good songs. That's the nice way of putting it. I think you can think about how it would go if it wasn't as nicely put as that. But it's true. You have to write 1,000 songs to get a good song. You know, not everything you write is going to be a hit. In fact, your hit to garbage ratio will be significantly in the favor of stuff that's going to end up in the trash can. If it isn't that ratio, you're doing something wrong. So there's a heads up. And Patricia has also written for us, if you are looking for some way to write and need a simple program, particularly if you don't play an instrument, have a look at hook theory and hook pad programs. All really great and helpful, Patricia, and thank you for those thoughts. And again, at the same time, I do want to encourage you to have a look at Songwriting as a community of songwriters who I think you can get a lot of help from. I want to come down here to Daniel Cummings, who has written a question. And the question goes like this. And it might be we're coming up to after Daniel's question. I'll be we're just doing a review of. We've had 15 votes on the poll, everyone. And Daniel's. I was just about to say, don't forget to write down what do you think would be my favourite. And I see Daniel has put his vote in as to what my vote would be, because I can't vote, because the moment I create the poll, I can't participate in the poll. Daniel has written, I would love to get a question answered today. Well, here you are, Daniel. I'm a voice teacher in Idaho. So good to have you with us. And I have an adult student in his 20s who has very breathy tone naturally. We've had great success. Let's see if I can quickly roll over. Building his range safely, but I can't seem to figure out how to get him a stronger tone. Any suggestions, or should he just embrace his breathiness? I wouldn't have thought so, Daniel, and I think you are right to see it perhaps as an area of an area that this person can develop in. Breathiness is typically a something that we recognize as being in the transitional teenage female voice. Outside of that, we typically think of it as being either associated, and this is when it's a bit habitual. The singer doesn't have a choice but to create breathiness. It's either a weakness in the voice, or there may be a pathology that is leaving the voice breathy. There are two ways you can approach this, Daniel. One would be to have the singer scoped to ensure, because I am by no means diagnosing or suggesting that there is, but to ensure that there is no pathology that is leading to the breathiness. And that can be anything from a nodule, a cyst, a granuloma, through to paralysis of a vocal fold. And you just want to make sure, because if there is a pathology, then no matter what you do in the studio with them, you're unlikely to bring about any significant change or elimination to the breathiness. The second step would be to go about building activities, so the Stemple work, vocal function exercises. I find twang work through a lot of NG. The NG of twang will cause the arytenoids to come together in a much cleaner and balanced way, and so that strengthens the cricoarytenoid, the transverse cricoarytenoid action, which causes a more balanced and activated closure. That would be where I would start, but I would want to, you know, if you're already doing those things, it might be time to recommend a full assessment of the voice. And if there is a hesitancy to do that from the student, then recommend that the side value of them doing that and and getting the results is, at the very least, it creates a baseline of vocal health that, should they need to have an analysis and diagnosis done in the future, that they've got a baseline of good vocal health viewing to reflect on. So an assessment is never a lost cause, and that's perhaps how I would go about it. The twang work and the vocal function exercises will help strengthen that activation. You've got to do that with good breath management, though, Daniel. You don't want to be causing the vocal folds to adduct in an aggressive manner because you could end up fixing one problem by forming another. So just, be mindful of that. We are going to go to ending our poll. 3, 2, 1. What part of songwriting do you love the most? Writing lyrics that hit deep came in at 40%. Crafting catchy melodies, 26%. Recording voice memos, 20%. And building the perfect structure, 13%. What did you all vote on in regards to what I was thinking would be mine? Yeah, Karen's just put in here, and this is a great point, Karen, thank you. Hypermobility can also affect glottal adduction, and so something to be mindful of there. Daniel, that's a great point from Daniel. If you don't know Karen from Singwise, Karen is a regarded singing teacher in the US, so take her knowledge there. That's really good. Let's see. I'm looking to see what you all think I would have gone with. I can tell you that actually now, this is what Patricia wrote. Patricia thinks my favourite would be either melody or structure. But actually, Daniel gets it right. Lyrics are my favourite thing. They are. Lyrics are my favourite thing. I love, when I have written, I love being a wordsmith. I like finding not the cleverest word, but the right word to express an emotion and those sorts of things. So that's what I go looking for. Daniel, thank you for that. Oh, did you notice, and just so that we all understand, did you notice I turned off that top fans thing? Oh, no, I didn't. I thought I had. I thought I had turned it off, but it's not showing in the chat like it did last time. I don't know. When I looked at it, because, and it was like Linda pointed out, Linda's almost certainly always going to be the top fan because she's the one that sort of talks to everyone and keeps the conversation. So, it was never, I don't know, it was never going to be a thing, I don't think. So I know it is still on, Dan. Yeah, I know. Yes, I know. And I don't know why it is still on. It's just one of those weird YouTube things. I tried turning it off, but maybe it's one of those YouTube things where I don't have a choice. It's just on. So congratulations once again to Linda for being #1 top fan. I hope you've enjoyed today's live hangout. Next week, we are going to be doing a full review of Eliza's. And Eliza, am I saying your name correctly? We're going to be doing a full review of her song, Annie's Song, which is the John Denver classic. So she's done a self-accompanied sing, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that with you and showing her support and giving her some feedback. So That will be cool. I need to come back over here, don't I? Oh, dearie me, what am I doing? There we go. I hope you all have a great week, and stay healthy and happy wherever you are. And I'll see you again next week for what will be our last week for a few weeks. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.